because I figured that like this would be like a little pilot thing, and because we're not going to do the spinner, even though I do actually have it up on the, I brought it up just in case. But yeah, I think that have this as a pilot and see how we get on, and then yeah, take it from there.
When you say spinner, I half expected you to come out with a spinner belt.
Like I would. I've got some. Give me some. I've got more fucking self-respect for that. Unless it was unless it was the edge one, of course.
I wouldn't put it past you, though. I know you too well.
just turn up one day at yoga. Look what I got.
Say, yeah, I got this. This one I polish every day. And it gets cleaned with real polish.
Right, so you want to call this little thing screwdriver with a twist. Tell me why that name. Before we go on, tell me why that.
Right, so you and me play No Mercy religiously, right?
Correct.
So the best move in the game is called screwdriver.
That's the Scott Steiner thing, isn't it?
It's the thing where you put them up and... Yeah. Just a cool looking move. So I always thought, yeah, screwdriver's a good move. It never gets used anymore, so it kind of gets forgotten about. So the word screwdriver, however, also means a drink, which I believe is vodka and orange juice.
Correct. Yep.
So with a twist. So screwdriver with a twist.
That's an interesting name. It's going to be tricky on the title where to put it, because people will see that and go, what the fuck is that? So I think probably with whatever topic
we can also call it SWAT. Just call it SWAT. Screwdriver with a twist. It works.
I like it a lot, actually. Yeah. And I suppose one thing I do need to point is, do we want the wob 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 music? Because the people will like it, won't they?
It's your vid, mate. You yeah. Why not?
So Dan has been wanting me to make reviews again for the longest time, haven't you? Every time we've hooked up, oh, what do you do a vid, or why didn't you do a vid, or thinking of things that we could do.
The voice of the people.
The voice of the people. And I remember the last time we actually hung out let me tell this story. So the last time we hung out in person was in October of 2020, and we decided that we were going to review Starcade 1997, because if you remember on my 97th Heaven series, I never reviewed it, and about 6 months before that, Dan and I had started watching Starcade 1997, and 3 matches in, I fell asleep. So it's one of those. It's one of those, and he sat and watched it. So it's one of those. Right, I'm going to make you fucking watch this show, right? And so we were like, I've prepared loads of notes, because we were going to do like something like this, what we're doing here, but in person. And I've prepared loads of random little notes about little things. And then we were so determined not to fucking watch this show that, the Wheel of Names that I talked about before, we put 8 shows.
It's how we feel about like WCW. It's like we can't look forward to watching it.
We put 8 shows in. Starcade 1997 was one of them, but we put 7 of our favourite shows in. And right, let's let fate decide. And it will do an elimination, so we spin the wheel and a pay-per-view comes out, and it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes down to Starcade 1997 and SummerSlam 2001, and fucking Starcade 97 won. It was one of those, god damn, it means we've got to watch it. So we start watching it, 3 matches in, I'm like, start fucking nodding again. Couldn't believe my fucking eyes.
Yeah, and I kept watching it like a tool.
No, fucking useless. Anyway, so going forward, the plan will be that we will put a load of topics into the spinner and let the spinner decide, let fate decide which a topic for us to talk about. I think this is going to be kind of if you've seen 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, where Bischoff does the majority of the talking and he's interviewed by that cretin that I don't like. Whose name? Yeah,
I thought you were going to say Meltzer, and I thought, nah.
I don't know his name. He's just he's the one who's he did Bruce Pritchard's podcast as well, I think. And he's
that was all right. That was actually pretty.
I didn't like Pritchard's because his impressions were so grating on me. Like, shut up.
At least he didn't talk the whole time in a Brother Love voice.
No, thank fuck for that. But so we'll put various topics that we think about into a spin, and we'll just talk about them instead of it being a set thing, and it's going to be an on the night sort of a thing. I don't. My reviews were always so heavily scripted, And
So this is a shoot.
well, yeah, but what I was going to say is that the things that I know that you, Dan, that you used to bark out for, and I think a lot of the things that would come out of the comments was always it's the stuff in between the scripted stuff where I just ad lib something. That was the funny stuff or the entertaining stuff, and it's where you got the honest stuff, wasn't it? So I've just realised I've got my fucking wedding ring on.
And just the one that comes to mind is the when you did the No Way Out 2004 thing.
What, the review within a review?
Yeah, and you went on about like the original CD.
Put a little ass on it.
It's just you get one. The reason why I enjoyed your reviews is because you got so mad, and for a fan to get angry, I just found it amusing. Because you're using your time to watch this stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I said on that vlog that I did that set all this up, is that I just can't get cross in that way about wrestling anymore, because it's just a TV show. You know, it's like the last series of Game of Thrones where it's just like, fuck it. There's people are raging about it. I'm just like, me.
That's actually a perfect segue into the question I want to ask you.
Ooh, non-scripters. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so that's my question to you is, why and when did you stop caring about the wrestling product that you spent years following, and then all of a sudden it just bang, stopped following it, stopped reading up on it, and it was just a case of you used to all the time text me saying, oh, did you hear this happened, and this match is happening, and now it's a case of like, meh, people will tell you about it and stuff. When did you stop following it, and why?
I don't think I've ever stopped following it entirely, because of social media. Something like the people that I follow on Twitter. For example, I follow the OSW guys, and I follow Matthew of Botchamania fame, and people like that still will tweet about the stuff. I mean, V1, for example, from OSW, he watches Raw, SmackDown pay-per-views. So if nothing else, I see what's happened on the shows through what he says. And then if he says a match is particularly good, there is a chance I will watch it. I mean, an example of one that I would, if I had the time, I would have gone and watched, was he was raving about Wrestle Kingdom Night 1, and especially the Okada versus Ospreay match, I think it was. He was saying, this is absolutely amazing, this is great, blah, blah, blah. So I was, it's one of those, okay, if I've got 15 minutes, I might go and watch that. I'm trying to think. I think you've got to remember, my whole life changed in 2016. In January 2016, when Lisa and I split up, my whole life did a 180. So I went from having as much time as I wanted to in between me and Lisa splitting up and me starting a job that I got where I was working as a full-time as a courier, and my free time went from being virtually limitless to being a very finite amount of time. And that the thing with that is it meant that wrestling really did take a back seat. And it was at that point really that I stopped caring as much about the American product. But it depends. I mean, with the British stuff, it's only in the last year that it went from being my sole, all-consuming passion to being a completely dead issue to me. So that was about this time last year, I reckon.
Because just to touch on the Brit Rest thing, you got not obsessed, but you got so involved in that.
Absolutely.
Where you would go to, you'd go to every show, you'd buy season tickets. I remember you talking to me, and I'm sure at some point in the series we'll talk about the the suitable replacement story.
It's a great story. Look forward to that one.
Yeah, but you were telling me so much, and I never really followed Brit Rest. Like for those who don't know, I was into Japanese wrestling. I love New Japan, which I followed for years, and WWE here and there, but Brit Rest was never something that took my interest until you sort of said, do you want to go to a local show? And it became more about the hanging out aspect, and being in a room full of 20 people than it did, we don't care what wrestling happens, it's just fun to be there. But in terms of the Brit Wrestling maintaining and carrying your interest, that kind of became your your main thing because you
Yeah.
didn't really care about the American product
Yeah,
anymore.
that's absolutely correct. I mean, I kept doing. You got to remember, I discovered Future Shock in 2011. So,
Yeah,
so
for
a
sure.
couple of months before that, I passed my driving test, and that allowed me to go because Ryan Hendricks of UBW fame, he was K-Bar, and he was. He was training. He trained under Kid Cash when they did a training seminar there, and he was always on me like, "You've got to come to Future Shock. It's really, really great." And it's one of those like, I can't get there. I can't get to Stockport. So
Because you did training as well.
yeah, but a long way. Well, I trained in 2010 in Stoke.
But you were heavily involved with the people in Brit-Rest.
Yeah, well, I was going to say because we're getting ahead of ourselves there. I fell in love with British in 2011, and as I got more into British wrestling, because you got to remember, when the big wave came over, and what turned into WWE, NXT UK, and all that. But I still remember. I remember going to shows where there was 10 people there. And before a few years later, you went to every show you went to was completely sold out, and you had to buy tickets months in advance. And basically, my interest in the American product went down and down and down and down, down, and my interest in the British product went up and up and up and up. And like I say, Future Shop became my thing, and we went to Southside shows in 2012, and went to PCW shows, and I went to anything I could do. And as my relationship started to fail, my previous relationship, I used going to wrestling shows as an excuse to not be at home. Basically, I know that's an awful thing to say, but it's just that's the truth of it. And
because we still, just to be honest here, we still book WrestleMania weekend off work, and we still will make an effort to see. I mean, I was at 34. I went to New Orleans, and I still had an interest in that. I don't follow the products much like you. I don't watch Raw. I don't look at spoilers. I don't go and check the website the next day to see what happened. It just there's no interest there. But
I used to. I'm sure you were the same. That I would on a Tuesday morning, I would wake up, and the first thing I do when I pick my phone up would be to go onto Scott Keith's website and read what happened on Raw.
Yep.
I did that for even when I stopped watching Raw. I did that every Tuesday without fail, and I haven't done that.
Why did you stop watching Raw?
Why did I stop watching Raw when it went to 3 hours?
Mm.
I don't have 3 hours. Even if you watch it on fast forward, or you skip through the adverts, you still look at 2.5 hours, and I don't have that time to commit to a wrestling show. I don't watch AEW Dynamite. I know from the ones that I've seen, God, that Ice. If you can hear something, it's the Ice Cube clicking on there. I know that AEW Dynamite is a fantastic wrestling show. Week in, week out, it's really, really good. I don't have the 2 hours to watch it.
Do you find that when you do have free time now, you would rather watch matches that you enjoy or shows you enjoy rather than keeping up with the current product?
It's a tricky one because I don't. I only watch wrestling with you. I got so lucky in that I met a girl who liked going to wrestling shows.
No.
So when I moved, my interest in Future Shock really started to wane when Dave Rain retired, because Dave Rain was such a massive part of Future Shock for me, a massive appeal to me. And when he retired, I noticed a noticeable downturn in what I thought of the shows. But at the same time, as that was going down, this is what I was trying to say a moment ago. As that was going down, my love and passion for Fight Club Pro just went fucking through the fucking roof, and it became my thing. And to meet a girl who loved going to Fight Club Pro and making it in it was such a big part of our lives for 2 years. We were every show we went, and we went and stayed in Wolverhampton, and we got a hotel together, and we went and got shit-faced drunk at the shows, and that was fucking fantastic. That was huge to me. When Liz's interest in wrestling started going, which is at the end of the day, being honest again, when we got our dog. Because what it meant is that one of us had to stay at home. Because at that time we didn't. We've got a really great dog sitter now. So if things had stayed the same, it could have been very different. But we just couldn't find a decent dog sitter. So it meant that one of us had to stay at home. And I found that I didn't want to stay over anymore if Liz wasn't going to be there, which meant driving home from the shows, which meant of course not having a drink at the shows. And it wasn't the same. But at the same time,
Yeah.
the wrestling,
Yeah.
what you said before, is the hanging out element. So hanging out with my friends at the shows was
Yeah.
huge, was a huge part of it. And there were shows that we went to, like me, you, and Extreme Dave went to the Southside show in Sheffield. And the ones where we could have a pint were fucking fantastic. If I had to drive home afterwards, Sheffield's a long way from where I live now.
Yeah.
You know? And it was that aspect of it that...
But did you make an effort to go to those shows because you still had an interest in wrestling?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And because I mean, Fight Club Pro shows were very special because
you never ever lost your interest in wrestling. It was just the current product.
Yeah, yeah. So I still got a great big kick out of seeing the best of the British talent combined with the best American imports. And getting into storylines that I cared about, because that was the important thing. Someone like PCW would book British guys and they would book the American imports, and as a rule they were always the not plastic ones, but a lot of them were, you know, the stars from the 80s and 90s, so you can get your photo taken with them and go and get their autograph or something like that. And you might get an alright match out of some of them, but whereas Fight Club Pro and Progress, for example, were companies where that you were getting the best of the best of the best people, wrestlers like Keith Lee, you'd see, you know, 2 years before he signed with the Fed. You know, things. That's just, you know, the first example I can think of. That's only because I saw a poster on my Facebook timeline today was Omari versus Keith Lee from 2017, and like, yeah, that was a fantastic match. I remember it clear as day in my mind. So, I was still massively invested in the product. And when they got a storyline that was really good, that you could really sink your teeth into, and that made you emotionally invested, it was just the best. This is the best thing in the world. Truly it is.
It's a classic example of I will pay my money because I care. And
well said.
With regards to, I mean, when was the last time you ordered a pay-per-view?
Well, that's an interesting question because, of course, the network means I don't have to order pay-per-views anymore.
Yeah, but in terms of like before the network and things, because you still stopped. I'm not going to say caring, but you didn't talk about like WWE or, you know, even TNA at that point. Going back, it just didn't seem to.
Well, I've had the network since day one, of course, so I haven't bought a pay-per-view in a long, long time. But I mean, I think before I'd buy the big. I always always watch Rumble, always watch Mania.
We bought the AEW one. I remember that.
Oh yes, we did, didn't we? So the last AEW one was the one with the stadium match.
Yeah, I think I used the wrong term there. I think I should say, when was the last time you were looking forward to a pay-per-view?
Oh, that's fair enough. Probably that one then, yeah. That's probably the last one. Because it was, I'm intrigued to see what they can do with an empty arena. And then, yeah, we were meant to watch the last one was, and then you were busy on the Saturday night, so we didn't get around to it. Yeah, it's funny. I know, like I said a moment ago, I know AEW's good. I know it is. I know that it's a good watch. But it's if I've got Saturday night free and you're not about, and it's one of those like, look, there's an AEW pay per view, do you want to watch it? Like, no, you know, because it turns to the missus like, should we put it on? It's like, no, let's just watch the film, or you know, go in the hot tub or something like that. It's just pesky real life, you know. But here's the thing, right? You mentioned you started this off with, and I'm sorry, folks, if you think we're a bit rambling. I guess we're just trying to find our feet, aren't we? But
we do that.
You asked about when I stopped caring, right? Last night I couldn't sleep, and on my Kindle at the moment I'm reading a book called Titan Sinking, which is all about the WWF in 1995. You know, I'm reading that and I can't put it down. Admittedly, I can't sleep. I'm reading it just, and this is fascinating. The book I read before that was a book called Nitro, which is a book that I bought you, Dan, for your birthday. Yep. I read that. I gave it to Dan in October because I didn't know if we go into lockdown again, because his birthday's in November. And literally, I got home from Dan's in that first weekend in October and started reading Nitro again. For the second time. It is a fascinating book. I watch every OSW review religiously, and I'm just they've just finished their Lex Express series, and I've started going back through that. So the last one I watched was Royal Rumble 1993, their review of that. I watched that at the weekend. If I'm going to watch some wrestling, it will always be old, and more importantly, it's for me. I want to watch someone else's opinion of it for some reason. If it's OSW is just my favourite thing. OSW are one of the reasons why I stopped making vids, because I watched their WrestleMania 9 review and went, well, that's me fucked, isn't it? Because you are doing exactly what I wish I could do. You're being funny, you're being creative, but also you're showing the footage on the screen, which I cannot do. And I know I can't do. So yeah, I still watch. I still have an interest, but it's not in today's product, which is so strange. Because here's a question for you. Let me throw a question back at you. That I thought about this when you asked me that before. Would you say that in ring, the current generation are the best generation of wrestlers that there's ever been? In terms of the actual, not in terms of anything, but it's just as the in-ring craft. In terms of work rate, which is always our big thing in 2005 when we watched Ring of Honor, wasn't it? Work rate is the big thing. Oh, WWE have got the big men, but Ring of Honor have got the work rate, Would you agree with that?
Changed for us when we got into like Ring of Honor and even like back in 2005, things like TNA. Because it was something different, and WWE weren't great at that time. That was kind of when the characters, I feel, started phasing out.
That's something we talk about a lot, don't we?
Themselves were what hooked us as fans, especially during. I mean, I grew up a fan during the Attitude Era, which was, in terms of product, the wrestling wasn't great.
Oh yeah, go and watch it now. Remember, I've made various series about how in ring it was shite.
Yeah. But the characters were what drew me to the product. That was what I fell in love with. But then I started paying attention to the actual, Bret Hart would say, art of it. And that was what, I started taking interest in. And then I found Japan and stuff, which kind of had the two of them together. But for me, it was everyone's, sort of, how when you go on a wrestling game and you got to create a wrestler and you have like this, just muscly dude in a pair of trunks. That's your default, right? To me, that's what everybody is now.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about this in the past, haven't we? We've said it's right. So what's your name? Well, my name is Mark Pearson, and what do you do? I'm a wrestler. And what else are you? I'm a good wrestler. I'm good at wrestling. Give me what that will make me care a little bit, because I like wrestling and I like seeing good wrestling. But that's not going to hook me in. That's not going to make me want to pay money to watch you fight at all.
No.
I think it's one of those. It's the biggest thing at the moment. Is wrestlers are small compared to how they used to be, so they don't look like wrestlers. Is one of those things I never thought I would say 10 years ago, and now it's one of those. Yeah, but everyone looks the same, and no one's got any fucking characters. No one's got a character. So you just go me. And that's a huge thing for me. It's huge. It's a huge realisation where you just go, fuck, man, where's that come from? Because when we watched, it was when we were at your place, right? The last time I came to yours, and we watched a Dragon Gate match, a Ring of Honor versus Dragon Gate match. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we're sat there going,
I
bet when we watched that for the first time, this match was the greatest. And I was just watching it going, it's flips, great. Why don't you fucking sell something? Just, sell something? Please sell something. Please sell something. Would you just sell something? And just going, I don't give a fuck. And then, of course, 20 minutes after the match is finished.
Storytelling. And storytelling is integral. And you watch, I mean, I can't even tell you, half the people who are on the roster right now. And this is in WWE. And but going back to something, you spoke about on your vlog thing about how I sent you a question about, 1980s something. And straight away it's like, yep, I know that.
Yep.
It's just, you remember things you care about. But you lost interest along the way because it doesn't hook you anymore. It doesn't, I reckon even with or without time, you would make time if it was worth watching.
Yeah.
We watched together I told you, this was back in like a few years ago, I told you about the series between Omega and Okada from New Japan. And I said, dude, you've got to watch this. You just have to watch this. And, we set time aside and we watched it and it was great. We watched all 4 matches.
Did I watch the Wrestle Kingdom live and you didn't? Was that on one of those?
No.
Okay, fair enough. There was an old
No, it
Japan
was
show
Dominion.
that I stayed up until daft o'clock in the morning to watch, and you
That
didn't.
was Tanahashi Omega.
Okay, fair enough.
So not this year, the year before,
Fair
I think, yeah. But yeah, it was just like, okay, we know this is good. We're going to set time aside to watch it. I can't remember the last time we did that for a WWE show. I know we still book WrestleMania off, but I can't even remember anything that happened at this year's one.
We watched WrestleMania 35.
No, 36 this year.
Yeah, 36. I remember we watched it. I don't remember much of it because we just got pissed. Really pissed.
It was a 2-day thing, wasn't it?
2-day thing. So it was a case of both days for me. I think it was a case of going back and watch. I went back and watched. I watched the Boneyard match and I watched the Funhouse match back just as a, I want a second opinion here. I'm gonna watch these with Liz. Like, what do you think of this? And both matches, she went, and you enjoyed this. And I was like going feeling a bit stupid because the Boneyard match, I was like, yeah, it's all right, isn't it? On the night, I was like, yeah, it's really fucking good.
So I like the Boneyard match because it's Taker's last match.
Yeah, that's got a big deal.
The what was the other one? The Cena Wyatt one.
Yeah, the Fire by Funhouse match. I don't know.
Yeah, I stopped watching that, if you remember, halfway through and went and made myself something to eat because I couldn't. I thought to myself, like, why? What? I mean, and this is something that WWE are doing now, and I get it. They're trying to do
the cinematography.
They're focusing more on the entertainment. They're focusing more. Not that I find it entertaining, but you remember the Swamp Thing?
Yes, that was Braun Strowman. We watched that live, didn't we?
Yeah, and I think who is that supposed to appeal to? Crocodiles?
Look, let's go.
I don't see.
Let's back up a second. So, what made you stop going to the British shows? Because you tapped out long before COVID. You can't blame COVID on it. What made you stop going to the British shows?
You and me ended up walking out of a couple of shows.
We walked out of a good wrestling show in Milton Keynes, didn't we? Which was sad because we'd been to a couple of their shows that have been really enjoyable, and it's in a metal club, isn't it? Their venue is
one of my favourite places. Yeah, and it was just like really like I found it hard to take seriously something I don't take seriously.
Okay, because the way I remember it with you is that we went to a Southside show where the main event was a ladder match. I can't remember where that was though, I'm afraid. And
Stevenage.
It was in Stevenage, right? So we went to a Southside show where bad booking, bad crowd, and not the best in-ring action made us go, this is a bit wank, isn't it? And then we went to...
Well, they had...
Go on.
They had Phoenix there. And you... Well, I think Phoenix is great. And I thought, yeah, great, get to see Phoenix. And they did like an injury angle where like a bunch of people carried him out. And then the announcer said, we're going to have to ask everybody to leave. Thank you so much. You know what all these guys go through. Blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, this guy is putting on 5-star matches in Mexico. And no one needs to get in the ring and talk about it afterwards.
Are you sure it wasn't an injury angle? Are you sure he wasn't getting injured? Because he fell off a ladder, didn't he?
He was working in like Mexico the next week. I'm pretty sure of it. But anyway, I just remember being disappointed when I did. And the thing is, you don't want to go to. And I've had great time at Southside. I've been great bunch of people there. But not to single Southside out, but it's just to go to a show and just feel disappointed when you leave. That's not what you want. And I had that with the good wrestling that you took me to, and I had that in a couple of other shows. And I just thought to myself, well, wouldn't you rather do something else? Like,
are you sure it wasn't just because you really fucking hate Joseph Connors? So I took Dan to
I went down some stairs once.
I took Dan to a show in Bedford, right, a Southside show, and it was at Bedford Football Club. And I didn't tell him that it was the show was called the Joseph Connors Memorial Show. And the look on his little face when we got there was fantastic. But when we did get there, we were the only people there. All the wrestlers were there, and the ring was there. We were stood outside going, "Is this the right place?" And we could see the wrestlers going, "So this is obviously the right place." I'm like, "This is going to be shit, isn't it? Because there's no one here." And eventually there was a few people that
mad.
was like, oh my god, this is going to be wank. And that show was crap. And that was the last Southside show we went to. Of course, Southside doesn't even exist anymore. Rev Pro took them over, but that was the last one that was the last show that we went to together, and that's got to be 2 years ago, hasn't it?
Thing is, we had great. Some Southside shows I went to were great.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, I remember when they were doing them in St. Neots, and you know, loved
Anniversary
them.
show they went to. The no rope match was fucking special. That was a really good show.
Yeah. But, you know,
we went to a couple of the Speakings as well, didn't we? The one in Nottingham was really good.
Yeah, really good shows. But you know, we've been to shows where it's just, you know, blown, you know, American wrestling out of the water with things like, you know, when we saw Dragon Gate.
Oh yeah.
Shingo Yokosuka, and
best ever.
You know, we've been to Ring of Honor. We went to Ring of Honor in Leicester.
Yes, we did. Good show.
And yeah, it's just, you just don't want to leave something that you care about feeling disappointed. You know, if you went and saw a band, so you know, you like Thunder, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
You and Liz like Thunder. So if you went and saw Thunder and you left disappointed, you probably wouldn't go see him again.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Thunder's probably not the best of choices because you know that she would. But at the same, I get you on that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you pay your money and you sit there and you think, but whose fault is that at the end of the day? Because you can collate this back to, you know, why we stopped watching televised wrestling. Who's to point the finger at, you know, of why they haven't held the audience? And you probably know people who you're friends with who, you know, you met through wrestling, who you no longer associate with wrestling with at all.
Yeah, that's a fair one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know,
As I said before, I met Liz at a wrestling show. You know, the woman I ended up marrying, I met at a wrestling show, and we don't watch any wrestling at all together now. Nothing at all. It just doesn't crop up at all. Which is sad, because it was one of those. It was always our thing, and we were so passionate about Fight Club Pro. Liz and I were so passionate. Both season ticket holders. Think how much money that costs. A season ticket for two people when you're buying them at the same time. And you know, always went to the shows. Passionately supported them. Went to London and went to Birmingham. Went to Manchester for the shows. You know, spent so much money on t-shirts and merchandise and hoodie and everything. But all the DVDs, all of it, gave them so much money. And now the interest is, well, Fight Club Pro doesn't exist anymore. So it's that, you know, they're completely gone. And I can't look back on a lot of their shows with happy memories because of just the speaking out movement last year. Absolutely destroyed it. Completely destroyed it. Any last vestiges? Because I'd realised in 2019 is that I was going to the shows and I was... I'd meet up with the lads and we'd go to Nando's beforehand and we'd have a meal and we'd catch up and we'd just be mates because it was the only time we ever used to hang out. We didn't hang out away from wrestling, weirdly. And we'd just catch up and we'd just have a laugh. And then I found myself, like, I'd go and get in the queue for the show and we'd have some banter and all that jazz. And then literally from the moment that the first bell went, I was just like, in the back of my mind going, yeah, but it's a fucking 2-hour drive home from here. And it's like... You know, I'd get to the intermission, and if the first half hadn't been very good, I'd be just like, right, I want to go home now. I'm ready to go home. And it was always so in our little group chat that we had, we'd do a little thing where you get your little thumbs up icon, give us a thumbs up when you get home. And I've got a smartwatch that is connected to Messenger, so imagine you're driving like 45 minutes into your drive home. And your watch goes because someone's got home, and then it goes again and again and again and again because the 6 of people that you've gone to, 5 of them are already home. And I'm sat going, fucking, I've got at least an hour and a quarter drive to go.
Yeah.
So you get home, and of course you're buzzing off the show and you're buzzing off the drive home because you know you've got a lot of it's motorway driving, so you're wide awake, and you get home just like, oh my god, I can't fucking sleep. But I just realised that I was just not enjoying any of it anymore. Because Fight Club Pro were running this storyline where it was the Fight Club Pro essentially versus Shroud and Fried, which was a stable that they had, and a lot of the crowd liked the heels. And I get that, you know, the cool heel factor, like the NWO always were. You see the NWO t-shirts, but you know that they're the bad guys, so you make a point of booing them. Or, more importantly, when fucking Sting comes out to save the day, you make a point of cheering. These fuckers would boo the good guys, and it made it the worst atmosphere to be part of. And then So this went on and on. Like it was like I won't be renewing my season ticket for next year. I just know that I won't be. And then there was one show where, and you'll know where this is going in a second. So a friend of mine came to the show, and even though I had a front row season ticket, I chose to stand at the back of the building with him, and we would spend most of the show just chatting, to be honest. But the main event was Dan Maloney versus Trent Seven. It was a four-way elimination match, and it went down to Dan Maloney versus Trent Seven, and the winner would be the new Fight Club Pro Champion. And it was having a nice little back and forth, and these two were quite stiff and everything, so it's quite nice. And then, fucking Trent Seven gets him up on the shoulders, and I turned to the guy I was with and went, because he's going to do a burning hammer. He'll kick out at one. Hits a burning hammer, and I said it as a joke, just as a watch this. I'll kick out at one, and he fucking did. And I lost my fucking mind. I sent you a message saying, I've just seen someone kick out of Burning Hammer at one, and you're what the fucking capitals. And I raged. And literally, that was the moment that utterly killed wrestling for me. At that moment was that I don't like this anymore. I don't like the spot fest and doing moves for moves' sake anymore. It's like that is a sacred move that I fucking care about and have done for the longest time. And I've just watched someone kick out of it for a meaningless thing. It's not like he kicked out of it and then hit his finish and won the match. It was just a transitional move. It was just just to pop the crowd once. And you're like, why have you just done that? And at that point, and I've been after that. I went to one more Fight Club Pro show, and I knew I was done. I knew I was absolutely done from that point. And then you have the winter off, and you start thinking like maybe I'll go, and then I had a big falling out with one of the guys I used to go to wrestling with, which I won't go into now because it's not fair. But also, and then, so that was like literally, I'm at maybe like 5% interest in going back again. And then when the speaking out movement hit last year, I was just watching people that I've had the best memories of. Jack Gallagher winning the Future Shock Championship was one of my favourite things. And watching him get fired by WWE because he'd been accused of raping someone made me just go, right, how can I ever think about that memory again with a good conscience? How can I think about Travis Banks winning the Future Fight Club Pro Championship when he'd been accused of having an awful relationship with Millie McKenzie? And it's just literally, it became we were back and forth on WhatsApp going, here's another one. It's like, I cannot believe the people that I respect so much and the moments that I cared about are being soiled by this. And at that point, it's like, I am done. I will never go to another wrestling show ever again because I just can't imagine. I've always known that wrestling is a scummy business. I think if you're a wrestling fan and you know the inner workings of the business, which most of us do because we're fucking smart fans these days, you know that it's a fucking scummy business. Vince McMahon taking people's Twitch accounts off them just this last 6 months is a fucking stupid thing to do. But when it's so close to home, when it's so close to, and it's like there's people that you respect and people you care about. Fucking Martin Zaki, Fight Club Pro promoter, using the Fight Club Pro Facebook thing to send dirty messages to girls. And you just go, dude, I used to respect you so much, and now I couldn't even look you in the eye if I met you in the street. You're just scum. And this business attracts scum of the worst kind. And you just go, I'm done with it. I will happily just go and watch wrestling reviews and watch old shows where I was 15 years old and didn't fucking care about anything else. This was my main thing. And I can watch that comfortably, whereas nowadays I can't.
It's like films from your childhood. You keep watching them, like Christmas films, for example. You'll always watch them because they remind you of a happy time. Same thing with watching wrestling from it's 20 years ago. We were talking about the Great Trilogy, which is the Rumble, No Way Out, and Mania 17.
Yeah. 20 years old.
You can always go back and watch that because that was the best time to be a fan in that. But yeah, I stopped, and this is a funny one for you because I don't think I've actually told you this before, but my interest in live wrestling, going to live shows, we were in Milton Keynes watching New Japan.
Oh,
which I asked you,
yes,
come with me, and we were sat there and we're watching it, and it wasn't the best show, but it wasn't offensively terrible. But you and I sat there and we're watching a match going on, and you just turn to me and you say, we could be at home watching Starcade 99. And I literally stopped for a second and I thought, why aren't we doing that? You know, because we get a kick out of that.
Oh my!
You know, and it's like the safety net, if you want to call it that. You know exactly what you're getting.
But now you remind me, yeah. That was we were so fucking hyped for that show, weren't we? And it was such a letdown. But do you think? And I think it seems we're 40 minutes in, we should probably wrap it up with this one. That we went to that show. Right, I'd been to Fight Club Pro the night before, and to their credit, they put on a very, very good, very, very strong show. But we got there, and we found that they did at the venue. They did some super spicy chicken wings, and we were just like, "All right, I dare to have some." So we were like, "Yeah, of course we will." Yeah. So we bought 5 chicken wings.
We both loved it,
and we went and sat on our seats like, "Oh my god, this is going to be the best." And I clearly remember biting into my first wing and sort of looking over at you and like, not in the slightest bit spicy. We were so disappointed, and I think that set the tone for the show. So that when the in-ring action wasn't very good either, it's just like, oh, this is wank, isn't it? Could be watching Starcade 99.
That's the thing, and the reason why I don't keep up with wrestling now is because I don't expect it to be as good or make me feel as happy as I have before, as it has done before. You know, and I expect, because the times that we're in, I expect when live wrestling comes back, you and I will make the effort to go see it.
I think I'd like to, because it's something that we enjoy doing. But I mean, at the same time, I can't. At this moment in time, I can't see it. I could feel myself getting cross when I was talking about the speaking out movement. Then I could actually feel myself getting annoyed, because it's one of those. I still, almost a year later, it makes me so fucking angry to think about it. It's just one of those.
But do you think it's a case of the people who did that stuff and the people who made you angry, made you hate it, or do you think you lost interest in it because it just wasn't what it used to be?
I think it's a combination. I think like I said before, I think my interest had been going gradually down from 2017 onwards, and then there was shows I go to. Attack Pro Wrestling ran shows in Cheltenham, which is the nearest big town to me, that were just fabulous. It was a really tiny, intimate venue, 100 people, really good in ring, a party atmosphere in a pub, so you could have a few beers and that sort of thing. And that's what I got from those first couple of good wrestling shows that we went to. There was 30 people there, maybe 50, and it was a tiny little intimate venue. And I seemed to really, really get a kick out of that. And I think a lot of that was because, like I say, Fight Club Pro were my promotion, and they'd gotten so massive. That this little thing where it was like, I remember going to Fight Club Pro shows and pretty much being on first name terms with every single audience member. You know what I mean? And then the next thing you turn around 2 years later, and the last Fight Club Pro show that you came to that was fucking huge, and it was fucking wank, and we just got really, really drunk, didn't we? Drank a bottle of Jack Daniels between us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I sort of had a different view on it. I thought to myself, like, I was going in there with an open mind. One of my favourite venues, in MK at Crawford Arms, and I just remember you always used to get mad at wrestling. I never got mad at it. Yeah. I was very critical of it because that's just who I am. I'm just a very critical person. But I remember sitting there watching that promotion, and I got mad. And that's something that I don't do. If I'm at a library, I usually find things funny, or I'll make fun of something. Pinch of salt kind of guy. But
we watched.
I was sat there, and
it was Big Grizzly versus a guy called Bino, and they were having a grudge match. They were wrestling a grudge match for no reason at all. There was no issue. They were literally just having this match, but they were wrestling in a grudge match style, and it was just terrible booking. And we were just getting, this is the semi-main event as well, and we were just getting, it'd been not a great show, and we just got more and more and more and more cross. And we just, I can't remember which one of us said, should we go? I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And I've never walked out of a show, ever. Never once. And I want, I mean, I've seen things that have made me want to, but I've changed my mind at the last second. But this was like, fuck it, I'm not interested in sticking around for the main event. And then, that was the last good wrestling show that we went to. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and the first one. But I mean, the thing with the current product, and I don't know how many people will be able to relate to this, I think, and this will be another talk point for a different episode, is the internet killed the excitement, I think. It killed the emotional energy that you invest in wrestling because you're excited about wondering what's going to happen. With the internet, it's already there. You can read it. It's, it's the ins and outs of everybody's life. They're not characters, as we said. They're people. And by becoming people, their life gets put all over the internet as well. So nothing is, sacred anymore or whatever you want to call it. I don't think in a television environment that is appealing to a fan. I think mystery and I think, curiosity and interest in that is what holds your attention.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. When was the last time I'm just thinking while you're saying that, when was the last time you absolutely lost your mind watching something wrestling? Because for me, it was when the Hardy Boys came back for WrestleMania. That was it. I was watching that in 2017, and I was in... I was in Tenerife.
Yeah.
I think it was. Something
for watching it?
Oh my God! That's the last televised thing that I really lost my mind to.
I can't honestly tell you the last time I was watching. Oh yeah, when in AEW when Pentagon gave the pile driver off a ladder to one of the Young Bucks.
Okay.
Good table. That was the last thing that made me pop. But the actual feeling it was when I was at Mania 34.
It's different. Always gonna be different, isn't it?
It's different, because you're just there. But it's the first thing when you walk into it, and I've done it a couple of times. Where you walk in there and it's just like, oh, this is it. Like, and there's nothing like it. But I can't tell you the last time I honestly felt myself glued to my seat and thinking, wow, I need to watch tomorrow night or I need to watch next week.
Whereas I know,
like you said,
I just know that the last time that we had a wrestling session, we sat there most of the evening with a great big grin on our face, didn't we? Because I knew we were watching something great. The matches that we watched that night were fantastic. For the most part, I said on the vlog, didn't I? Bam Bam versus Taz, one of those. I remember this match being pretty good, and it really isn't. But the rest of it,
but we still were entertained watching it, even if it was crap. We were still entertained watching it. But I think that the sign-off line I'll use is, if you care about something, you'll make time for it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
And that's pretty much how I remember you saying, well, you don't follow it anymore because you don't have the time and you don't care about making time for it.
I've said.
You'd rather use it up on something that's guaranteed to hold your interest.
I've got a very finite amount of free time, and it's one of those. I have to be very, very careful what I do with it, and that means that it can take me 6 months to watch a series. For example, a great example of the latest series of The Crown. I've still got 4 episodes left of it. I've watched every series and been. This is one of the best things I've ever seen on television. But it's one of those. After a hard day, but it's one of those. The Crowns, you have to think about it. Is what you have to really pay attention to it. And after a hard day of work, where both our brains are absolutely sozzled, I'm just like, no, I don't want to watch something I have to think about. That's an example. Wrestling is. I don't think I will ever say to Liz, do you want to watch the latest episode of Raw? Because we'll go for I don't give a shit. I just don't give a fuck. I couldn't tell you who's on it these days. So I don't want to. No, definitely not. And Liz is for
maybe you should just to see what it's like. Do a review of like one of the latest.
Do a review because I have to write notes. I keep saying I don't want to do reviews. Writing notes is awful. Taking 5 hours to watch a 3-hour show because you have to stop and watch and that doesn't interest me in the slightest. And I don't. This series, if it happens, will not be reviews for sure. I may talk about certain matches and certain bits in said matches that have entertained me or made me pop, or this is significant in this match, but not an actual. I'm going to do a play-by. Who wants to do a fucking play-by-play from me? Who gives a shit? OSW, go back to it. They could do play-by-play because they could show you what's happening on the screen. And that's important. Yeah. Whereas with me, it's you're listening to me, and if I go back and watch my video, not that I ever go back and watch my vids very often, but that last night of wrestling that we watched together, where if I've reviewed this show in the past, I can go back and look at my star ratings. There will be bits that entertain me, but at the very start of this, it's always the bits in between, the play-by-play. Fucking who gives a shit? This has been a lot of fun, dude. Do you reckon people will watch a 50-minute video of us talking? What was that, sorry?
What's the next pay-per-view?
Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Even that, I don't think I'll watch because every year I go into it going, yeah, but you got to watch the Rumble, haven't you? And then you come away disappointed because the surprises are, oh, great, what did you fucking do? Yay. Fucking who cares? Listen,
If you care, you'll make time for it.
well, sir, if you've enjoyed this, folks, with watching Dan and I witter on and go all around the fucking houses, for 50 minutes, because we wanted it to be unscripted, so there's no set plan for this. There's no set.
No.
I started telling you about what I get into Future Shock, and literally, 2 seconds into it, we're on to talk about something else, for example. And if you like that, good. Tell us. Yeah, literally, give us feedback. We will need feedback from this because we want to make this as good as it can be. So tell us in the comments what you think, what you've liked, what you've not liked. Does this dynamic work? Does this layout on the screen? Because we can't obviously do it in person. We truly would. We would love to do something like this in person. It'd be great. Have a few beers, have a few smokes, and just talk bollocks to the camera. But in these current times, we can't. So this is the best we can do.
I mean, you did that for years.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this, and it's been an absolute blast chatting with you, Dan.
And you too, mate.
So next time,
until next time.
If we do another one, I can't see why we wouldn't. What we'll do is, I think maybe if you think of 2 topics.
You'll probably get messages. Dan is grumpy and bitter.
We'll probably think of maybe 2 or 3 topics, or if you've got a topic that you would like us to talk about that you think I'd like to hear these 2 idiots talking about. Insert here.
Give us top 5s or something. That's always a good one.
Yeah, but if it's about anything in the current day, and I will tell you this much: please don't do this. If you could name 5 superstars to go from WWE to AEW, who would they be? I used to fucking detest that when I used to do Q&As. Fuck that noise. Yeah. So think if you've got questions, if you've got things, a good topic for us, whack it. Tell us down below. We'll put it into the spinner. We'll pull something out and we'll talk about it. How's that sound? Ladies and gentlemen.
That's fine with me.
He's been Danny Ace and I've been Mark P. Take it easy, folks. Yay!